Welcome back to Incremental Chats. I'm your host, Jared Mann, with my colleague and co-host, Paul Suarez.
Hey, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Today, our guest is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Josh Morris, our tech support specialist.
Hey.
How are you, Josh?
Great.
Great to have you here.
Josh, it's a slightly different atmosphere today. You're usually in the studio helping people learn how to do things with encoders, but today you're talking to the sales guys. It's a super exciting opportunity for you to...
I'm usually at a desk talking directly to the customers, but I do make some videos as well.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, but yeah, you may know him from YouTube, but yeah, we're just here to talk about encoders and encoder-related subjects. So yeah.
Yeah. So Josh, you said most of the time you're at your desk talking to customers, helping them out with tech support. What are some of the common things that you get asked by customers on a regular basis?
Most of my job is pretty boring, to be honest. Boss calls me the Maytag repairman. Not a whole lot goes wrong, but I do spend a lot of time just helping customers with new applications, or if they're new to encoders, helping them find, the right cable or an interface if they need something, to maybe to test an encoder, check it out, help them troubleshoot if they have problems, all sorts of stuff.
So with new applications, Josh, what would you say, are there like tips you have for people looking for the right encoder, or things, what are things people need to consider that they maybe don't know about when they talk to you?
Sometimes they'll come in with the general idea and they just need to narrow it down a little bit to a specific item number. Sometimes they'll come in with really just questions. And so I'll just do my best to just help them either answer the questions that they come or guide them to the questions that they need to find answers for on their side, so that they can narrow it down to get to where they need to be.
I think that's a real good point there. What are some of those questions that people should ask before they start looking for their encoders?
A big one is that I start with a lot of times is, what are you trying to measure? Are we looking for something? Are we trying to measure a linear distance? Are we trying to measure something in degrees or angles? Are we measuring speed? And then also, do you need something that is just kind of a one-off, or do you need something that you can come back to it later and turn the machine on and know exactly where it's at from the get-go?
Yeah, I'm guessing that would have to do with like if you have maybe an index, if you can do a homing position, or absolute. What about like, I think one thing that always, when I was learning about encoders when I came here, that tripped me up is like resolution, like CPR.
Yeah.
Big numbers sound really good, but it's maybe not always the case, right?
Yeah, we've, in fact, I just probably maybe a month ago had a customer that spec'd an encoder themselves and then came back a month later and like, we actually got way more resolution than we needed. So I helped them sort out and do the math, figure out what resolution did they actually need to get the job done without having so much data that it was overkill, because that's what they're running into. They're running into speed issues and just sorting through data points that were unnecessary for what they were trying to measure. So yeah, definitely a question that comes up in the process.
Okay. And when would folks want index or like an absolute encoder? Where would you recommend? I know it's a huge scope.
There's a lot of places, but the most important one where you do need to have an index or to use an absolute is if it would be dangerous to the equipment or to a user, if that encoder or if the machine powers on not knowing where it's at in its range of motion.
Yeah, like if you had an automated mic arm and it just slapped someone in the face,
Or
Exactly.
like we were talking about in the last episode with the surgical robots and things like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing in a more serious example there.
Yeah, getting slapped in the face by a microphone doesn't sound good either.
Microphone, scalpel.
Both do damage.
Yeah.
And that's the real point here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also if it could damage the machine itself, if there's something within the machine that if it it didn't stop moving at the right point in time, that it could, harm itself, cause damage.
So that's absolute. And then you have index, which is you can do a homing position, which means there is some movement.
Some range of movement that would be safe for it to do without fear of harm. And if it's contained, or if there's not a user in the line of motion or something like that, then you could do something either with an index or with something with, non-indexed. You could do an external stop too.
Okay.
And when stuff does go wrong with encoders, what are the common things that you see happen to lead to those?
When the coder is not working, most commonly we'll see either an alignment problem with, the shaft is got more play in it, or maybe it wasn't installed properly, or electrical damage is fairly common. We'll see got wired up properly. Somebody puts 24 volts on a 5-volt encoder. Get those questions once in a while.
It's that, or like just getting the pins wrong, right? I think that's something you've talked to me about.
Putting voltage into an output pin.
Or like on the E2 and the E5, like the modules in it, like the different orientation. And from a like spacing perspective, it's just that's why we offer the tools that come with the encoder kits, right? That helps you with the spacing and all that kind of stuff. Is it just people maybe don't read the assembly instructions, or is it hard to align it correctly if you don't exactly follow the procedure? Or, I mean, it's kind of speculative for me to ask you that. But.
Yeah, there's could be a lot of different things, because there could be a shaft problem with the shaft itself. We've seen that occasionally where, we'll get a motor in with an encoder on it and realize that the shaft is moving, 20 or 30 thou, and the spec's 10 thou. So then in that case, it could be assembled just fine, but there was another problem with the rest of the assembly. So we'll see that sometimes, or in production lines, if you got installers putting an encoder on the same motor, several hundred times a day, there's just always room for operator error.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking, before, just kind of what the things we want to talk about, and I think this is all good information. I think also there's just some interesting people you've talked to over the years, right?
Oh yeah,
and
all sorts.
One of the ones that we were just talking about was this dude with a gem fastening machine, right?
Yep.
And I mean, maybe explain like what that is, and I guess tell us a little bit about that story there.
Yeah, that was a fascinating conversation. It happened several conversations over the course of probably about a month to help this gentleman take a gem fastening machine, which was for grinding and polishing gemstones, so that take a raw gem and polish the facets and shape the facets till something that you could put into jewelry or something like that. And he needed a really precise angle so that he could make different faces match, so they'd be the same shape, same size, same orientation, and get the the right number of edges or whatever he needed to do. And he had an older system that was mechanical, so he had like a dial and with the different degrees marked down onto it, and he would rotate, kind of like assembly like this. He would rotate a part of it until he was at the right spot and tighten it down, and then he'd do his polishing. And we walked him through the process of digitizing the machine. So we got an encoder that he put on that axis. He had a couple axes, I think, and then one of our displays, encoder displays, so that he could then just move it until he saw the angle that he was looking for on the display, and then lock it down that way. And he got much better resolution out of that than the mechanical system he was using previously. So it was just it was a fun and unique process, and he was a fascinating person to talk to. He knew all sorts of stuff. He invited me to come down. He has a public mine somewhere in California. He said, if you're in the area, come. you can come mine your own aquamarine.
I think we may need to set up a customer visit for this one. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And
some jewelry.
But it was a fun process, and kind of got to help start to finish, which I don't always get to do. Sometimes I'm just one little piece of the conversation, but in this case, I kind of got the whole gambit from prototype all the way to finish, and helping him program his display to get what he needed, and then the next 6 or 8 months, I kept getting more calls from people. Hey, so and so told me I need this and this and this for my gem fastening machine. So I got
Some
got
good
to see-
referrals.
yeah,
Yeah.
got some good referrals out of it, and talked to a lot of hobbyists and amateur gemologists, and it was a fun project.
I know we were joking that like he's on the message boards talking about encoders and stuff. I wonder if like he just was like, here's Josh's email. Just tell Josh I sent you. So do you remember, did he know, obviously he had like a mechanical, I'm thinking there's the dial and you're looking at the etch marks in it. Did he know that encoder would be an option to be a little more precise, or like how did he start that process?
He was
with you?
not a gemologist by trade. He was an engineer by trade.
Okay.
And retired or semi-retired at the time when I was having the conversations with him. So he knew something about motion control and metrology and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. I was just thinking too, we probably should mention that brand new ED4 to him, because he probably was using ED3s.
he was using
at that
ED3,
point.
yeah, because that was a
Yo.
number of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
We should probably reach out to him and let him know we have a better solution.
we'll get some
It was
new
a long
calls.
time ago.
Yeah.
See if I can find him.
Yeah. The other one, just that it feels like it's kind of the one we hear about a lot is there's two. It's telescopes.
And sewing machines.
Yeah.
Hear those ones.
Quilting
a lot.
machines, yes, long arm quilters. I don't do a lot of quilting support, but yeah, replacement parts for those. Get a lot of small hometown people or homeschoolers or just other people who have long arm quilting machines, where the encoder tracks the position of the quilt head on the quilt, or the quilt head on the quilt, and need replacements for their encoders sometimes.
Is that like I guess it's probably a big investment. I'm just thinking of like some of my hobbies, and something breaks and I'm like, well, time to go buy a new one. But I'm just picturing, I'm picturing.
Quilting machines themselves, yeah, probably.
Yeah, they're not real cheap, I don't think.
Yeah.
$7 or $8 grand or something like that. Talked
Like-
to one guy who was running like 15 of them. So yeah, like
Is that like a
it was
Happy
it was like
Gilmore
business,
situation
yeah.
where he's in the old folks' home and they're quilting?
I don't know what I think he had a company who was
Okay.
doing like custom quilt work or something like that.
It also makes
Interesting.
you wonder too that, if there's I'm being a little stereotypical here, but you think of the nice old grandma hand quilting something, and then this dude comes up and he's like, "Hey, I got 15 quilting machines," and she's like, "What? You can't win the blue ribbon at the fair this year. That's cheating,
It's like, my fingers hurt. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, I have a dish machine, so mine don't.
And the secret's it's the encoders actually.
It is the encoders.
Encoders.
Yeah. You have love, we have encoders. And with the telescopes, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's just that there's
Yeah, telescopes. What I deal with mostly is the hobbyists and trying to repair telescopes. But yeah, telescopes, and they use encoders to track the position, or for tracking the movement of the telescope. They'll set it up to a planet or a constellation, and then the telescope will have motors that'll follow that over the course of the night, so that it'll always be centered in the telescope. You can check it whenever. And yeah, so they use encoders inside the telescopes to track position.
Now, not to put you on the spot, but our shared supervisor was like, it would be really good as if Josh shared some of the stranger calls he got. So I mean, do you have
Some
any?
of the more weird ones.
Weird ones.
Those are very practical. I mean, what are ones? I've heard a story. I don't think it was you, but that somebody like came to the front door with an encoder and a pickle jar, and then talked to Neil. But I don't know if
Yeah, I did meet with that guy as well, Neil and I.
Did the encoder smell like pickles, or like was it the jar?
No, the jar was clean. It was,
Okay.
He was
That's
just
good to
He was
know.
recycling and reusing.
Okay.
Good deal.
Yeah, he had purchased one of our kit encoders and didn't understand the assembly instructions. So he brought his motor and all the pieces of his encoder in a jar, and so we put it together for him.
That's great.
That's awesome.
And he was from the area, or like did he drive up here from
far-
California?
I sure hope so. I don't know. It was-
How far did he have to travel for that?
yeah.
500 miles. You guys are assembling this for me, and then I'm going home.
But that's I mean, that's top-notch support right there.
You're right.
Show up at our door with your encoder in a pickle jar. We'll help you out.
Yeah. Any other weird, like, obviously we have to be careful with what we divulge, but like any weird applications or stuff where you're like, I didn't see that one coming.
This was several years ago, but I spent, I don't know, maybe an hour on the phone with the gentleman who needed an encoder for one project that was completely unrelated to all the stories he kept telling me about treasure hunting.
Okay.
and like just trying to redirect him, but they were fascinating stories telling me all about like sunken treasure ships and all the stuff. He was like in his 80s. He's like, you got to go do this because I'm too old for it, but there's still so much out there. And he's telling me all the like these ships and where they went down and all the treasures that were on them. And like he had data. He sent me links to like websites with all this information and news articles and stuff. He was quite the character, and we did finally get his encoder situation sorted out as well. But
Do you remember what he was using the encoders
no,
for?
I have no idea. The rest of the conversation was too enthralling.
Gotcha. So he didn't have like an underwater drone or
No, he wasn't.
to go search the shipwrecks.
Yes, no, he wasn't doing that anymore.
Okay.
He was well past his treasure hunting days.
Got it.
Because he was in his 80s, I think, at the time. So, but yeah, very very lively, fascinating conversations. He kept, I don't know how many times he told me, you got to get into this business. It's so exciting and so much adventure. And if you find anything, then there's a lot of money in it. Apparently he hadn't found anything because he didn't have an assistant that was buying his encoders for him. So
Yeah, it's true. Very true. I joked at the start of the podcast about the YouTube videos. I know you're not on filming stuff all the time, but like you've done a lot of work for us, like from representing the brand and the company. And I mean, is that something that you ever kind of pictured yourself doing, or was it just kind of like, why not?
Nope, no, never did. Took one theater class in college. That was it. That was Charlie Brown.
Oh,
Yeah.
good grief.
Yeah. But no, just there was a need and they asked me. So there I am, just accidental YouTube star.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I know I send those videos out to customers when they have questions all the time and they love it. So
They've been, since we've started doing them, like I send links to our videos of myself, not to say, hey, look at me, but because they're quite useful.
Right.
For what they're designed for, and they do a good job of explaining it.
Yeah, I think what was fun, so before I was in this role, I was the marketing guy, and you and I worked a lot together in that extent. But I think what was cool was there were several times where you're like, hey, this customer asked this question. Maybe we should just do a quick little video on that, or you should go take these photos and do that. And I just think it's a cool, I'm not doing that now, but I think it's really cool that we can like respond to people's needs rapidly and not just like, of course, some people, they're just going to want to talk to you on the phone and have you walk them through it. But then sometimes, if somebody orders a new product, I'll be like, hey, here's the assembly video. Take a look. And if you have questions, let us know. And usually they're like, oh, great.
Yeah, it's a great avenue because you obviously don't work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Nope.
And we don't outsource any of our tech support to anybody other than you. So
they outsource it to us sometimes when Josh is
That's
available.
true.
At least on the live chat.
It does get outsourced when you're not here, unfortunately. But it's a great avenue. So if somebody is working on a hobby on a Saturday or Sunday and they can't get a hold of us, they can get a quick answer or quick assembly video, quick tutorial. So that's great.
Yeah.
So one of the other parts of your role that it's one of the great places where we know the answers already. You work with custom builds.
Yep.
So when you start that process, what does that look like for you working with the customer on those?
Those can start a lot of different ways. Sometimes it'll just be, hey, here's a drawing. I need this disc, and those are usually fairly straightforward. Sometimes we'll need to go back and forth, redline a little bit to get the details nailed down and make sure that it'll be functional. We got that, expertise there that not all of our customers have in terms of making sure that it's going to function in
Sure.
the field. So, but yeah, and then other times there'll just be somebody that just says, "Hey, I need something that'll fit on this." Whether it's a linear or rotary, a disc or something like that. We've made discs that were so large that we couldn't print them in one piece, and we make them in segments for a very unique application for customers or just larger discs. Working with a company right now that's got two different discs on one system. That one's much larger and one's much smaller, and they're measuring the speed of two different parts of the same piece of equipment, basically. And it's just a test system. They only need about a dozen discs total.
That's interesting.
And we've done like materials and stuff like that too. I know like there's like, I think there was one where somebody needed like some surgical grade housing and or like a shaft on a shafted encoder. And
Yeah, we've done custom materials for our shaft. We switched out a brass shaft, I think, for a stainless steel, so it'd be medical grade.
yeah. That's also something that, we do that here. And I think lots of people do customizations, right? But I think one of the things is just that like everything's in this building. And so I wasn't thinking about custom stuff, but I was thinking about when there've been a couple RMAs on some of the accounts that I have, and you're working on them, and you're just able to go like walk down the hallway to the place where they make the stuff, and you're
Yeah.
like, hey, let's run the test again.
Yeah, I can take an encoder comes back, and I can take it right back to the room where it happened,
Yeah.
and put it right back on the same piece of test equipment, and compare compare the results from today with the results from when it came off that piece of equipment. Whatever, a year ago, 6 months ago, whenever it was that it was manufactured, and I can look at the original data for when it came off that assembly line, and I can look at the data today as well. So that's probably fairly unique to U.S. Digital, I think, at least in our industry, where I can walk it back and to the table it was assembled on, or to the piece of equipment it came out of, and I can look at the test data and component list and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you can check in with, Jake or Mike in assembly. You can check in with our like engineering manager, and they're not like, "Why is Josh here?" They're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Well,
what are we working on?"
they're not, who is Josh and why is he asking this question? They know you,
Yeah.
they know why you're there, they know the
Yeah, I'm
the
first
product
name
they're working
basis with most of the engineering team, most of our assembly team, and yeah, if there's a test that we run, then we can run it again, and most of that data is available. We can look it up.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty unique process for returns, where we're not just like, I don't know how it failed. No, we can usually pinpoint fairly closely.
And we have good traceability. I know we were talking about that not too long ago, where like, I've worked other places where like, well, I think we made this thing between June and September of 2010. It's like, that's it. And we're like, actually, this happened on this day, and this person did the thing and that.
right. Or it came out of one of 4 different factories, and we have to go find out which factory actually produced that to find maybe that data or what happened at that factory that day.
Yeah. It's nice here because we have one factory. Pretty sure it was this one.
Came out of this one,
Yeah.
came off of that bench over there. So
So Josh, this podcast, you made it to episode 2. You're very highly booked on our priority list here. But the goal is just we're sharing information on encoders. I don't know who's watching. If you're here for episode 2, thank you very much. But the goal is just that people find this and they find useful information. So I think we covered a lot of ground. But I mean, do you have any words of wisdom or tips for folks that are maybe working with encoders for the first time, or anything we didn't ask you want to share?
Well, call us or send us an email. You probably talk to me, most likely. And this company has, I've been here for 17, almost 18 years now. And this company operates like nobody I've ever seen in terms of supporting customers and new applications, especially, and training. I've been doing this job for about 12 years in tech support, but everything that I know about encoders, I learned here at this company. And now I'm the lead tech support guy and test all the returns and all that kind of stuff. So we love to help. We're good at it, and give us a call. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Because we can certainly help.
And it is cool. Like the thing you said is like, if you ask for help, you need help with something, like you are like 99.9% chance you're going to talk to Josh. You may get us.
Maybe one of the two of us to start with.
Maybe. But hopefully it's Josh. And if it's not Josh, it's probably going to be Jim. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that does it for another episode, right? Jared, do you have any?
No, I think that does it.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on Incremental Chats podcast. Incremental Chats is a production of US Digital, produced by Jacob Granneman, Jared Mann, and Paul Suarez. Our music is created by Jared Logan and Zane Callister of Utah.